Have you ever gone to a networking event like a trade show or a conference or a happy hour and made a bunch of new connections only to find that those people never responded, replied, or ever connected with you ever again? Me too. What is going on there and how can we avoid it? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. In order to diagnose this problem, what's going on, why do we make these amazing connections only to have it fizzle out and never hear from these people again? We should start looking within. So as we approach a networking event or conference, I'd like you to think back to the last one you attended and think about how did you feel as you were walking in? Do you notice how you might have felt a little excited or maybe a little anxious? Most people happen to feel anxious. But what's happening is you're getting into an altered state. The environment that you're in always has a major impact on how you're thinking and how you're behaving. So when you're going into a social setting like a networking event or a conference, that environment's going to create a different type of way of you just being and showing up. And that's happening to everyone else as well. It's as if everyone that's going to this networking event or this conference, the environment is actually creating somewhat of an intoxicating effect. So instead of getting somebody's real nature, we're getting their altered nature. The nature of them, we're getting the version of them that's altered by that environment. So when you're talking to somebody, you're seeing them being more open-minded, you're seeing them being more happy to connect, or they may even be really happy to give you their business card. You know, right before I filmed this video, I looked in my pocket and I found business cards from an event that I went to, and I found one that this person never responded to me, even though we had a great conversation at the event. So it still happens to everyone. So as we're talking to them, we have to take into account that as cool and as open-minded as this person seems, they're in an altered state. I'll tell you a quick story. I was at an event working a booth, very hard job, I'm sure some of you have done that. And I had somebody walk up and they said, you know, I never take a phone call from a salesperson, I never answer the phone, and nobody can ever reach me. But you know, here I am and I'm talking to everybody, here's my card, take my card. And I thought, what are you doing? Why are you giving me your business card? In the same sentence you're telling me that you never talk to salespeople. I was a salesperson. Well, if you think about human nature as it is, in Dale Carnegie's book, epic book from years ago, decades ago, he talked about people want to feel important. So let's take this individual and we'll call him John. John never talks to salespeople, but at this conference, John wants to feel important. So what's the way John can feel important? He can say, I'm important, I'm a big VP, here's my card, call me, and he can get all the good feeling, all the serotonin and dopamine hits because he's feeling important in that moment. Well, when he gets back to his office, and he gets out of that altered state from the environment, and he gets into the environment of his office, it triggers him to behave like he always behaved in the past. Well, what makes John feel important when he's in his office? Well, he already shared with me, he feels important by never talking to salespeople. So that's just one of the things that's happening at conferences that's creating this disconnect between how somebody's behaving at a conference or an event and how they're behaving in reality. So we have to take this into account. We know that however this person's showing up may not be that way when they get back to their office. So what can we do? Here's 4 techniques that you can use right now at your next networking event or conference to ensure that you have a better conversion rate, can actually create real connections and have a real progressive meeting from this connection. Tip number 1, you can go ahead and take a selfie with that person. When you have a big smile on your face from the connection that you both created together and you're taking a selfie and you text them that selfie, that's going to create a much higher conversion rate of that person remembering you, liking you, trusting you, and wanting to remain connected with you and booking that next meeting. Tip number 2, try to book a meeting with them right then and there. So as soon as you have that great connection with somebody, pull out your calendars and say, hey, let's go ahead and set up that follow-up meeting right now. And you're always going to get an objection. Oh, let me get back. You know, we've got a lot of things going on next week. But no, try to book the meeting right there and pretend as if you don't book the meeting right there, this person will never talk to you again, because statistically that's probably what's going to happen. So book that meeting right then and there, get through the objection and do it. Tip number 3, send them a video where you're sharing with them what you enjoyed about their conversation, including your own personal observations about what you liked about them and what you remembered about them. That will make them more likely to want to keep engaging with you because you saw them as a human being versus just a possible transaction. Tip number 4, you can take the time to create a personalized letter. Handwrite a note, as hard as handwriting may be nowadays, handwrite a note to them or send them a little gift in the mail. That will make you stand out by far. Everyone else is emailing them or texting them and blowing them up on LinkedIn and sending them connection requests. Make yourself a little different by sending them a handwritten note or even a gift in the mail. They're more likely to reciprocate that back to you by taking a meeting with you if you go that extra mile. By following these 4 tips, you're more likely than ever to actually have a successful networking event or a successful time at a conference. And if you don't use these tips, you can get all sorts of business cards, but at the end of the day, they're just going to be garbage. Okay, is this just me? I'm assuming this has happened to you as well, but I don't know. Like this video if you've ever had this experience in the past, and comment below and tell me your story.